In the last video, I broke my personal best lap record 3 times at High Plains Raceway. I went from a 2:18.63 all the way down to a 2:14.22. Right from the beginning of the day, I knew I was going to beat that old record, and after just a couple of laps in the first session of the day, I had a 2:18.34 under my belt. But it wasn't until the very end of the second session that I truly got into the rhythm and dropped a whole 4 seconds off my time. I'd achieved 2 of my major goals for the day, but I was still hungry for more. I said at the beginning of the day I wanted a 2:15. I said getting into the car I could do a 2:16. I just did a low 2:14. Apart from the performance mods, my car is stock. Apart from the engine mods, my car is stock. Stock handling, aftermarket tires. Tires don't count as a mod. With some mods, end of the summer, this is a 210 car. I probably got a 213 in it, a mid 213. If I didn't have traffic and if I didn't go straight at turn 12. Anyways, I need my PPMS gauge. Let's see, what are you sitting at? Oh, those are dusty. They're sitting right where I want them, 37 hot. Spicy. They're sitting right where I want them. All right, I'm coming on over here in the shade because I want you to look at something. This is a comparison between my laps, the 2:14 and the 2:16.48. So the red is the 2:16, blue is the 2:14. You see how the blue line is lower than the red line? That means that I have more speed in that corner. That's just turn 1. If I pull up the time difference, this shows I got 3/4 of a second through this first sector that I can make up. I got a 2:13 in me. Can I do it today, you think? I'm gonna try, but if I didn't have to drive this home after, I'd be pushing for a 2:12 today. I do have to drive this home after, so I will not be pushing for a 2:12 today. I'm home. Going into the third session, I was ready to smash that 2:14.22 again. As longtime viewers of the channel know, my exhaust develops a nasty rattle when it gets too hot, so before I went out, I had to fix that. Let's go. That wasn't my car that made that noise, right? As I went to leave the paddock, my brakes started making a horrid noise, but just as quickly as it started, it was gone. Oh, stop. Nonetheless, I wasn't fazed and went right out after making sure everything was okay. Because of the mystery noise, I left the pits late and was deposited right into traffic. This outlap was focused on hitting marks and not on all-out speed. Running right into traffic, this is gonna be fun. A really bad habit of dropping my car into second gear for turn 10 despite it being a third geared corner. This upsets the car and risks over revving the engine if I was doing it on a flying lap. I started my first flying lap with a poor run out of 13 to 15 because of a slow shift into third. Turn 1, I braked early and dropped into second instead of third, hurting my lap times even more. Despite these struggles, I was still showing a low 2:14 on my predictive going through turn 3. I thought this was going to be my chance to break my old record right away, but my optimism was soon ruined by a stranded C8 who parked directly on the racing line in the braking zone to turn 4, the fastest part of the track. This is incredibly dangerous, and I don't know why he didn't pull off to the right off of the racing line or off of the track entirely. I pushed on after passing him, planning to still get a full speed practice despite the now aborted attempt at a new PB. Braking into turn 8 gave me a good view of the dead C8 before I threw my car into the corner. Head on track, damn. Once again, I shifted down in turn 10, but this time I corrected myself and even admonished myself in the moment for doing it. This time, 13, 14, and 15 were much faster despite a minor lockup due to a bad rev match on my downshift. Lap 1 was a 2:17.37, well off my goal, but still faster than my former personal best. I started lap 2 with a wonderful drive through turn 1, not overslowing and actually using all of the track on exit. The predictive timing on my race box had me at a low 213 coming out of turn 3 and going onto the backstretch, but double flashing yellows on the straight killed any chance of beating a PB again. The Corvette was still stuck on the racing line without any chance of getting going. The track was officially green again at turn 5, which meant another lap of high-speed practice. Reviewing my line in turn 6 versus this Golf R ahead of me, his was significantly faster as he braked and turned later, treating it like the true compound corner it is. Turn 8 braking again gave me a view of the C8, now with the flatbed wrecker pulling up to rescue it. Through turn 10, I didn't downshift, but I was still cautious, which paid off for me as the Golf R threw himself off the edge of the track. Going into turn 11, my brakes started making a whirring noise as I slowed down, which should have been a sign that they were near the end of their life, but all I did was slow down for the end of the lap. Lap 2 was a 2:31.06. Right away, lap 3 wasn't going to be my fastest. I was in cooldown mode for my brakes going across the line, and double yellows were flashing in turn 1. The track was green for 2 and 3, but was under double yellow again at the braking into 4 because of the C8 being loaded onto the wrecker. Coming through turn 5, I decided my brakes were cool enough and went back to pushing. At turn 8, I saw the wrecker was pulling the C8 around the track instead of loading it into the bed. Goofing around, I hit the curb for 9A hard, and it wasn't exactly comfortable. I was able to keep my hand off my knob in turn 10 and was much faster and used a lot more track because of it. 13 to 15 were fast again, but again I locked up in braking to 13. At this point my brake pads were practically gone and I had zero pedal modulation. Nonetheless, I pushed on and tried to set one last fast lap. Lap 3 was a 2:30.03. I was on my brakes very early into 1 and turned even earlier, causing me to take way too much curve, which again wasn't very comfortable. For the first time all session, the backstretch was clear and I could actually go for a fastest lap, but unfortunately for me, my error in turn 1 had me on track for a 2:15. The slow laps had me out of focus and I was making silly mistakes like dropping into second for turn 4 and turning too late for turn 5. Those two alone had me another 3/4 of a second down. Into turn 7, the wrecker and C8 were both stopped off the track for some reason, and that solidified that this lap wasn't going to be a new personal best. Into turn 11, the noises from my brakes were even louder, and I decided at that point I was going to bring it in. I don't know if you heard it, but it kind of sounded like a little turbine cooling down, like, that's good. Also, I'm out of gas. I'm not out of gas, but I'm really low on gas. Pulling into my pits, I checked my fuel gauge and realized just how little gas I actually had. So I'm running low on gas. They have gas over there. Let's go see how expensive it is. I'm guessing it's gotta be at least $5 a gallon or something like that, or at least high fours. I don't want to deal with that, but I also would like to not have fuel starvation on the track.
A few moments later.
I was a little off on the price. It's $7.60 a gallon, so I will only be getting enough to get me into town if I decide to get gas here. All right, I'm gonna send it till I get down to like 1 a notch, and once I get 1 notch, then I'll bring it back in and fill that up. Or if I make it through the whole session, I'll fill up to like a half tank. This was full when I started. I filled this up 10 miles that way. I filled up my tank 10 miles that way. I've gone through more than half a tank. I should figure out what that math's out to. All right, mental math time. I've never been much good at mental math, but I have 26 miles of range. So I'm getting 8.2 miles to the gallon. So let's round that down to 8 miles to the gallon. I got 3.25 gallons of gas. If I use, it's a 2.5 mile course, and I get 8 miles to the gallon, 5, 7.5, 3 laps per gallon. I want to come in at a gallon left. That means I got 6 laps, including my in and out. That means I have 4 timed laps to set a new personal best, assuming my brakes don't blow up. After frying my brain doing that mental math to determine how many laps I could go for, I went out for one last session, hoping to finally snag a 213. Most people had left the track at this point, so slow group and fast group were kinda out the window, but the track was empty enough it didn't really matter. I joined the track in empty air, meaning I could bring my tires and brakes in gradually, but this didn't mean I was going to go slow. Under braking, I noticed that my car was pulling hard to the left, which I chalked up to glazed pads that would clear up in a lap or two. Don't need to go in second, dumbass. Once again, I dropped into second at turn 10, and once again, I called myself out for it. At turn 13, I realized I still had my traction control enabled, which was killing my power out of corners and making the car just feel weird. Coming out of turn 1 on my first flying lap, and I confirmed that it was indeed a third gear corner with how fast I was taking it. I turned too early into turn 3, which slowed me down into the back straight. By now, I was finally starting to consistently nail my braking for turn 4, staying on the brakes till apex and not getting on the gas early. Turn 6, I was on the brakes early and turned early, but I was able to recover some time on exit by being extra smooth. I was also slow into turn 8 because of how early I braked. I've been consistently lifting early at turn 9B. I know I can take it with much more speed, but it really scares me to do that. I almost shifted into second at turn 10, but I caught myself just in time. I used all of the track at the exit at turn 10, which helped my time massively. Unfortunately, I turned in about a car length too early for turn 13, which had me run over the paint and lose a bit of traction, but I was still fast through the corkscrew. All my efforts came together and it gave me a time of a 2:14.57. I was just over 3/10 off of a new personal best. I soldiered on and knew this next lap I was going to break that time. Turn 1, I kept it in third and was able to carry over 10 miles an hour more through the apex than the previous lap. That, combined with a better run out of the corkscrew, meant that I was almost a second up on my old PB going into turn 2. I took a super aggressive line through 3 and went over the curb, which meant by the back straight I was over a second faster. I was carrying the most speed I had ever carried at High Plains Raceway, cracking over 123 miles an hour, and I knew if I wanted that PB, I would have to brake later than ever. But under braking, disaster struck. My brakes fully let go.
Nope, brakes said no. Brakes said absolutely the fuck not. That's it, I'm done.
There go my chances for a 213. What had happened was that my brake pads had disintegrated completely and my tires were hot and greasy. So that, combined with more speed than normal on the backstretch, meant there was no way I was making it through that corner. I was super lucky that it was a smooth ride and nothing broke off track. It's High Plains Raceway policy that if you go 4 off, you have to bring it into the pits for someone to check you out and make sure that your car isn't broken.
What happened?
I think my tires greased out a little too much.
Okay.
Yeah, brakes said no, you're not making that corner at that speed.
Right.
I think I'm done for the day. I'm out of gas. I'm not making it out before the end of this session.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, either way, everything looks good.
Sounds good, thank you.
I was given a clean bill and was good to go, but the lack of any gas in my tank literally meant that I had to park it if I wanted any chance to make it somewhere where gas wasn't over $7 a gallon for just 91 octane.
Ooh.
The noise from my brakes was really
Yeah.
bad pulling into my paddock
My
spot.
brakes are not happy. 16 miles. I can make it out of here. 19 miles to there. This says I have 16 miles of range. I know I can go on empty, and that's racetrack range, not real range. So I should be good.
Well, that was embarrassing. I just absolutely launched it off. You can see, look at my tires. Ooh, look at my brakes. That's why they're saying no. Brakes are not supposed to be brown, they're supposed to be silver. Nice, hot, crispy glazed rotors. If you looked at all my previous attempts, they haven't been that color. So yeah, I think I'm done. I did the dumb, it's fine. I'm gonna let it all cool down now. I'm gonna put these back, gonna get the rest of my stuff all packed up, and then I will swap my wheels over right as we're leaving, and if they're still too hot to touch, I will swap them back in the parking lot when I get back to the dorm. All right, I'm back up at the dorm. Now we can swap back over to the winter wheels and check out the damage on the brakes because, yeah, these things are screwed. As you guys can hear, these things are making some interesting noises. And as you guys can see, I think most of the brake pad is on the wheel instead of behind the wheel. So let's get these wheels off, check out what happened. That's the wheel off. Now when you go in here, this is supposed to be inside the brake. I'm gonna pull this apart real quick and see what's in there and see if I can get the caliper to stop dragging. So I can't get that out, but now I'm looking at the tires here. They look half decent. The fact that there's a lot of wear in the middle tells me that I was overinflated, even though I was only at 37-ish hot PSI. So drop that down to 35 next time on these tires. Oh, also, backside of the rotor here, listen to this. That is so grooved on the backside, it feels like I'm running my fingers over a nail file. Car is on life support right now. It's only driving straight home and nowhere else. Yeah, I'm gonna go inside and order new brakes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.